Hello and welcome to this Project in a Box video session. In this session we're going to take a bit of a longer run through the features of the multi-user platforms. So this applies to Live Edition, Small Team Edition, Enterprise Edition, working our way through consistency, collaboration, capability, communications, etc., etc., in the way that we've done on the brief intro video before. Okay, so here I am in the Windows application. We'll have a look through here first, then we'll flip over to the browser afterwards. So I'm logged in, and the system knows who I am, so it knows which projects and portfolios I'm able to see. So I'm presented with this select project screen showing my portfolios at the top. These are collections of projects that I've got permissions to work on, and then I see the projects in the pane at the bottom. So I can see the set of projects that form the Department for Employment Services portfolio here. If I switch portfolios, I'll see a different set of projects. If I go to a particular program, for example, I'll see the projects from that. If I go to my all projects list, I will see every single project in the system that I have permissions to work on. So pretty straightforward how that all works, and it's all down to permissions. Now as soon as you see projects, you see some properties for them. We may collect 100 plus properties across the system. There are a range of things that are collected automatically, like start and end date of the project, percentage complete, number of risks and issues, etc. Things that are collected from your spreadsheets if you want them to be, like benefits values and budget incomes and number of health and safety incidents and things like that. And then there are also properties that you might type in, like who the project manager is, who the sponsor, which department, etc. So there might be an awful lot of properties. You will see the ones that are of interest to you using what we call a view, which you can set over here. So I can see that data immediately for my projects. If I want to go and work on the project, I simply double click it and it opens using the method template. So this is the establishing of the consistency. This all projects of this type will have the same navigation and structure to them, and we'll go and create some more projects and have a look around a couple of others in a moment. But basically we can navigate this by point and click. So users can come in here, they can read the guidance that's laid out on the diagram and simply point through. So we've got project process, concept, we click on concept, it gives us the documentation that's appropriate for concept. So here we've just got one document called the project mandate. We've got quite a bit of content in it. We do indeed have the mandate file. And we've got lots of other things that we've collected as sort of evidence. So the mandate, we can see here in the history, has changed quite a lot of times. If I want to view it, I just double click on it. It goes to the server, brings that file back to me here, and we can see that file over here. If I want to work on it instead, I would check it out, and it will then put it in a managed location for me and open it. It's updating the document properties with the latest property information as well. So these are the properties that are brought across, things like who the project manager and sponsor are and things like that, and descriptions and etc. from the server. Put all that in for me. I can now make some changes to this and simply save, close and check back in, and that's going to upversion that. Just a minor change to the last part of the versioning number, but immediately it stored that information in the database. You can see who made the last change when they made it, and you'll be able to see obviously the latest version by just simply double clicking on it. It's going to go away and open the latest copy again. So it's managing all that sort of stuff for you nice and easily. If we want to add any new content to our project, we can very simply drag and drop something in by finding a file here on our desktop, for example, dragging it onto add file. We might choose to rename it as example file and give it a description, and that file will be, a copy will be brought in and now included in the system, and we can see it here, who added it, when they added it, etc. You can add anything you want to, any type of file that you want to. You can drag and drop from Outlook. You can include links to things, etc. It's about easily bringing in the documentation, and this is now going to be visible and accessible for edit even to other people working on the project depending on their permissions. So we're establishing the content we want. As we progress on through to start, we see that same project mandate again, but now we see other documents we need to work on, plans and risks and issues and appointments, etc. Hints and tips help us understand what we're supposed to do with those. And as we progress on through, some things will disappear, so we don't need the mandate anymore. It's just showing us the documentation that we need at each particular point in the project process. So really helpful to lay all that out for you. This is what we call a 4-step project process. It's for mid-complexity projects. Within my portfolio here, though, I have a range of different types of project. So I've got this Project Daisy, which is a small, simple project, very similar sort of idea, but different sets of documentation showing you at different points in the project. So you can have lots of these different scaled projects, methods sat alongside to be working on. So if I can also be working on, for example, an agile project. This is using DSDM Return. So here we are documenting the main delivery of the project, and then we're running through a set of time boxes, etc. So different sort of process, but works in exactly the same sort of way. If we add a new project to this system, it automatically puts in place all that standard documentation that we need. So if I come and create a new project, that's the sort of thing an administrator might do, and I call it my demo project 17. Choose the type of project that I want to create. So we'll go for one we've not looked at yet, 5-step project. I'm going to add it to my portfolio so it appears in there. Things can also be added to portfolios automatically by rules, as it happens, rather than just manually set up. With a small group of projects, you manually do them. With a large set, you would run rules based on the properties. So if I now refresh this, we'll see my Department for Information Services. It has my new project here. Things that it knows already, because it's put a set of template files in, so it's already derived some of the data. Things I haven't yet typed in, like who the project manager is, are not yet set. But I can immediately go and open my project. We'll see it's following its own process, and we'll see that it's got standard templates sat here ready to go. There might be spreadsheets, there might be Word files, there might be all sorts of different things, but they are here established immediately. The reporting structure is all established for this project, so I could go and run a report straight away for it. Go and choose my report from a standard template. So I'm going to run a project poster here. In fact, we'll run a statement, and that's going to go away, get all the data from this project, drop it in the report. Now this is brand new, of course we've only just created it 20 seconds ago, but it's all established, ready and waiting for the data that you're going to fill in into your project documentation. So we can see that we've got some places here for the data to come through, descriptions, commentaries, who the project manager and the sponsor is, and the statuses of various things. We've got a sort of outline plan and some outline dummy risks and issues and things like that. So it's all sat and ready for me to contribute that data. I don't have to set up all the reporting. I don't have to set up the report templates and outputs, or the input setup for all that, because it's done for me by the method. That means you can launch projects really quickly and easily, and in a very, very consistent fashion. You're going to get consistent collection of things, you're going to get consistent reporting. So let's jump back to the project we were on a bit earlier and have a look at some of that through here in a little bit more detail. So again, if I come and do exactly the same report, it remembers the last report you ran, so I don't have to reselect it. If you only ever run one report, you don't need to keep loading it. Now this is going to give me exactly the same layout, but obviously with some meaningful content in it this time. And what we can see is I've got descriptions and commentaries, some percentage complete and progress stats, statuses here, finances, baseline and actual dates, a timeline, the top 5 issues and risks which are not closed, any overdue tasks, and we've got an overdue task in here. And a summary of the benefits. That's my simple project statement. Exactly the same layout as one we looked at earlier, but this time populated for this project, and of course you'll get it populated appropriately for each type of project. So let's work backwards from reporting to work out where the data comes from. So this reporting section here defines what data I want to bring into the report. I'm bringing data from my spreadsheets. I'm bringing data from the planning database, which holds information for plans, risks and issues, and resources. Actually, I'm not showing a resource chart here, but I could do. And these are what we call saved views. So they're bringing back their definition of the data set for the project, filtered down and decided about how we're going to present that information, charts and tables and things like that. I'm bringing back some properties information from the properties database. That was the thing we saw earlier on the projects list, all the different properties brought back as different blocks and feeding the different parts of the report. And then I'm choosing a a templated layout I want to drop all that content into. I'm outputting it as Word and into what we call a poster style report, where you decide where everything goes. If you run a sort of standard, what we call a standard report, it puts in every section you select and arranges it just, if you like, alphabetically down the page in a set order. But a poster will drop everything into particular places, so you can lay it out really nicely. So that's the output. The input is about the data we're collecting. So data is fundamentally collected mostly from files in the project. Some of it is manually entered, but most of it comes from files in the project. And how does the system know about all that? Well, it knows from this project summary information button here, which is accessible to the project manager and PMO people with permissions on the project. And it knows it's going to get risk information from this file, issues from this file, tasks from this file. In this case it's Planner, so they're all the same file, but it could be Microsoft Project and some Excel registers, or Planner registers and a Microsoft Project file for Plan, for example. So that's the sources there. You'll notice it's a long page because you can have multiple sources of plans, multiple sources of risks and issues if you want to. Spreadsheets, it's bringing data back from places in the spreadsheet, and again it knows that because it was set up here as part of the method. So in the benefits spreadsheet, it's bringing back a benefits list which looks like this, and it's got some content in it. It's bringing back some benefits properties, and they look like this, the name of the property and the value. It's bringing back some benefits images perhaps here, and those are looking like this because they come from the spreadsheet as images. So it's laid all that out so it knows exactly what to get from where in each of these sources. Now every time those files are checked out and checked back in again, the data will be read out and read into the database. We can also bring images through to our reports as well by specifying them here. So it knows where to get all that data and then how to use it in the reporting. The other thing you might be putting in is manual properties, as we mentioned, who the project manager is, which department it is, what the priority is, process management status, etc. And all these things are available here to type into or copy and paste into. They are sometimes pick list entries, sometimes dates, sometimes numbers, etc. So you can set this list up to match what it is that you want to collect for your types of project. So every project will have the ability to collect all those bits of information, and they feed through to reports as we just saw. Actually, for the sort of rich information, tasks, risks, issues, resources, you can analyze them straight away here. So I come to my project tasks. This is set up to deliberately engage your team member. Usually we don't train team members. They can simply read the diagrams, click on the things that they need and get what they need straight away. It's pretty straightforward. Training of project managers, PMO people, etc. does bring some benefits, but team members generally pick it up themselves. So this is set up to show me my tasks. As a team member, I see the things that I'm allocated to work on this project. I can see, oh, there's a task here I'm supposed to be working on which looks like it's behind. So I can click in and see what that is. I can see who else is working on it. I can see any descriptions or comments about what's going on, etc. This is non-edit in this particular view. It's just for analysis and interpretation. So that's my tasks on this project. Of course, I can go and look at all my tasks. As a team member, any team member can come in and see every single task they're allocated to from lots of different projects. And that's really useful in terms of understanding what it is you've got to be working on currently and what's coming up and what might be behind and perhaps overdue. We can of course jump up to the project level and see the whole project picture. We can jump up to the portfolio level. As the department manager for this department, I can see all the projects, all the tasks from all the projects across this portfolio. It's a relatively simple set here, but it enables me to see them all. Now obviously in many cases you can have thousands when you do something like that, and therefore the view here enables me to control that. So I can filter. If I just want overdue tasks, I can go away and just get the overdue tasks from the portfolio. We're showing here inter-project dependencies, by the way, as well. And I can also go and use these preset views to go and get a range of other things. Unresourced tasks. If it's not resourced, it might not be getting done, so I can pick up those and find who I might want to allocate them to. So putting you in touch with that important information really very quickly, and coming from a range of plans, of course, so you don't have to do all that on one plan, then go to another one, and then sort of merge it together in some horrible way that you probably do at the moment. You can edit these views if you want to and save them as your own, but the idea is to keep people in touch with this stuff nice and easily without having to learn lots of new things. So having understood the tasks one, we can probably imagine the risks, issues, resources are going to be very similar. Risks, give me my project risks, default view. I could go to all the portfolio risks as we saw before and use a view to get me anything with a probability of greater than 50%, or get me the top 10 ordered by value. So it's going to go away and get me that particular set of things that I want, and again I can then run my charts and analysis and get my heat maps and all that sort of stuff for it. So very similar layout. The resource one works in exactly the same way. This is my resource on this project. Of course, I can go up and see my resource across all the projects if I want to see that I'm looking like I'm pretty busy this month, but not bad for the month after, and I can see which projects are contributing those demands for me. I can go and see if I want to upper level, so portfolio tasks, and see how the resources are demanded across this particular portfolio. If I want to, as an administrator, I can go and look for that for a selected group of users. So it doesn't just have to be me, it doesn't just have to be the portfolio, but I could go and look for work for me and the people that I know I commonly share my work with, and see what the three of us look like together. So you can search this for skills levels and roles of people in the organization as well. So this is giving you analysis, and that information of course can feed your reports straight away as well, and not just at the project level, but we can go up a level to the portfolio, and I can see my similar sorts of reports here. So I can come and get a what we call a poster to browser, and this is going to go and get the data from all the projects in this portfolio and glue them together, including our brand new nearly empty project. So as long as you're standardizing similar sorts of data from each of your projects, and we do that of course in our methods that we provide off the shelf, you can roll them up together really quite easily. If you're looking for data, if you've called data into your report and it's not present, it will let you know. So obviously our simple project doesn't have a finance sheet, and now we get some sort of stats. So here's my brand new project. We can see that in the status analysis, which is showing us a range of properties we're interested in, totaled up at the bottom, charted, etc. Benefits, same sort of thing, just focusing on benefits though. We've got timelines for the various projects here, and some basic costing information. We've got a finances block as well, summary of risks and issues across the portfolio, showing which projects are contributing which levels of risk, and then some sort of status summary information at the bottom. It's a similar simple portfolio type report, done for you very quickly. Now obviously that's something that takes ages to do if you're trying to do it by hand, and you run the risk of quality problems as well. And if you want to change what's in here, you can very simply come in and edit or add extra content in, or edit the column lists that are here, move things around, add new data columns. I want to put the benefit count positive in there as well, so that's now going to be included on the bottom. I could rerun that and it'll include all that data into the report for me. So nice and easy to do all that sort of thing. Other things to talk about: notifications. The system will send you notifications and reminders about important things that are happening. They might be changes to documents, new reports being published, changes to approval processes. They might also be related to collaboration activities. So we're running a collaboration thread here for this particular project. In fact, a number of collaboration threads. I can see I've got a discussion here that somebody set up about what's happening. We've got a number of different people contributing to that. I'm set up to receive email alerts, so I receive, a bit like Facebook or any other social media platform, a little email telling me what the last entry was and given me a link so I can go back and read it all and reply. So all these are indexed as part of your content on the project as well, and any user who's got access to the project can come and interact with these. So it's giving you a sort of flexible, light discussion area, as well as of course working on the more formal documentation structures for the project. So let's go off and have a little look at doing some of the same thing through the browser as well. So here I've got my browser interface. The browser interface is pure browser, so it's HTML. You can rebrand it if you want to. You can change the background images, the text, the color schemes, the logos to make it your own thing. And so many of our customers use this as the interface they provide to their customers and suppliers, etc. And it says their company name all over it, not Project in a Box. So again, we can do exactly the same sorts of things. So I can come and select the project. I'll see my projects, and I can choose which data view I want. So performance is the one that we were using on the Windows application. I get the same sort of view here for my various projects. Let's come and find my portfolio. And in fact, here I've got a notification just arrived telling me about the change that I made to the file earlier. I added a file to document in Project Mandate, example file docx. Now if I'd had this notification set up and somebody else had added a file to it, it's going to send me this, and I can then immediately go off and view that file following the link in the email. So here are my projects, and we can come in and find our things that we're interested in. So I can go to the Explorer and do some file management in just the same way as I did earlier. Of course, what you do from each interface tends to be different depending on where you are. So I'm obviously on a laptop here. It might be that the browser interface is my only interface, and here I might therefore be checking out the project mandate, working on it, checking back in a new copy. If I'm on my smartphone, then I probably won't be rewriting the project mandate, but I might be wanting to email it to somebody because I forgot to do it when I was in the office, or I might be wanting to upload a photo I've just taken with my smartphone of the whiteboard, for example. So we tend to find different things are done depending on the device you're on, but all the functionality is here for day-to-day use to contribute to a project through the browser. Now the browser is set up so that it will flip into appropriate mode. So if I'm on my smartphone, I'm going to see it like this. It's got all the same functionality here, but I access it in a slightly different layout because of course down the page is much easier than it would be to be in a widescreen mode. So it'll come back here, and I can come back and pick up the next things I want. So perhaps I'm also interested in seeing my task, risks and issues, just like we did earlier. Of course, in the browser we can come in and do the same sorts of things. So I can come and see the portfolio tasks that are overdue, and I will see exactly the same list of things that I saw earlier. I can of course come in and see the detail for those as well. So this is really, quite a flexible interface. You can get exactly the same sorts of things that you could earlier. We can do reporting as well, coming into the dashboard as it's called and choosing the particular type of project report we want to run. So I might run a slightly different one. We'll have posted to browser, create it here. We'll just auto hide that list, and then I can see that report run for my current project. This is the empty project, of course. This is the more complete report style. It's going to include more things, assuming they're here and set up. So we've got no benefits, but we get a fuller benefits list, obviously a more detailed risk and issue analysis, a bit more detail around some of the other areas as well. Of course, I can also run these reports into here and to Word, and I can select any of the other types of reports I want to run: portfolio reports, multiple portfolio reports, reports on the user, etc. So from the browser we can do all the same sorts of things as that, including of course administration, so creating my new projects, setting up and managing approvals, administrating new users, etc., depending on my permissions. So that's a quick run through the Project in a Box system, the Windows application, the browser application. Of course, I can use both of those irrespective of whether I'm on a SaaS model like Live Edition or an on-premise model like Small Team Edition or Enterprise Edition. Okay, I hope you found that useful. There are of course lots more videos on the YouTube site taking you through the detail of each of those areas, so reporting in half an hour, notifications and email management in 20 minutes, etc. So this is just intended as a sort of next step, broad look through the functionality without going into anything in too much detail. Thank you very much.